Black Market Voices assisted in producing the show for no monetary gain with permission as a transformative work. All rights remain with their respective creators, and all effects were obtained legally. Please support the parent media and the original work. Cloud City by SSJTrinity. Read by Charliegolightly. Chapter 5. Witches obey no officers. They follow no city law. More to the point, no one can make them. Only women, for whatever value of that word regardless of biology, can be witches. The deal is with an esoteric whose name is never spoken, and it's very different from being a contractor. No one's soul gets eaten. There does not seem to be a summon. They dedicate themselves to this Lord of the Wood for the rest of their lives, and are bound by unknown rules. But they also never lose body parts. They have power, a lot of it. On the other hand, they don't use it to rule anything. They don't hold office. They don't have so much as a community bake sale coordinator. Why? Who knows? Arthur has heard their esoteric referred to as the Black Goat, and as the Great Mother. But obviously, these are not her name. She's inaccessible to anyone who is internally a man, so he will never know. He's more concerned about how independent they are, because right now, he needs their help. Even among the witches, Asnath-Waite is a whole situation. They say she's older than dirt. They say she has more power, and a more direct line to the mother, than any other witch. They say she was a witch before the Reckoning, when the esoteric somehow came into reality, and freed Earth from the grip of the fire of Y that held it before. That's impossible, of course. How could there be witches before the gods came? Still, she acts like someone who was here before the world grew safe in cloud and consecration, and Arthur has never gotten along with her. "You look like you ate a bad pickle," Parker observes. Arthur sighs and crushes a bug creeping along the door. Asenath is a bitch. "She sure is." Parker makes a turn. Arthur is pouting. He knows he's pouting. He can't seem to help it. "She's caused me nothing but trouble." "Yeah, well..." Not really compassionate there. Parker snorts. "You haven't been nice to her, either." "Nice? I've been a gentleman." "You called her a bitch to her face." Parker slows for the next turn. There aren't a lot of cars in the city. However they were made in the past was lost in the fire of Y, and there are no new ones. All that still exist are maintained by magic, and Parker drives with caution. "Well, she was being a bitch," Arthur says casually. Astor laughs. She was, though. They'd met after his daughter's murder, met when she'd come on the case briefly, and given him the most pitying look he'd ever seen in his life, and that look had gotten under his skin like nobody's business. He tried to hit her. He remembers that. It did not work. He also remembers waking 20 minutes later on the floor in a puddle of his own spit. And mere months after that, after he had had his contract and was regularly running into her in the line of work, it all just got tense and difficult. Come to think of it, it mirrored his relationship with Parker in a lot of ways. Too much focus. Too much intense observation. She challenged everything he said, escalating into arguments. She insisted on verifying his conclusions every damn time, slowing down cases and leaving Arthur feeling tense and untrusted, but she never pushed the way Parker did. And when he thinks about it, her comments and quips had helped him think harder, work smarter, refine his methods, not just feel bad, which Parker's had always done. Confusing as fuck. All of it was confusing as fuck.
"This will be fine. I'm glad it's Asenath. She's powerful."
"Not you too," Arthur mutters. "Ganging up now?" "What's he saying?"
"I'm saying you're being a baby."
Ugh, nothing? Parker chuckles. I'd give a lot of money to know what the hell that guy says to you. The faces you make, Arthur. Arthur rolls his eyes.
He hears me. She can hear me too.
Arthur snorts. Sure, John. What now? He thinks everyone can hear him all of a sudden. Or maybe they always did. Everybody just lied in a vast conspiracy going back hundreds of years.
There's no need for sarcasm.
Parker gives him an odd glance, hands primly at 10 and 2 on the wheel. What? Maybe whatever hit the jail drove him crazy too. Crazy summon? Yikes. Can't even imagine it. Yeah, that would be pretty bad, says Parker, and turns down Asenath Street. Witch streets are largely all the same, lined by trees no one can name, free of litter and invaders from the waifs, clean and smelling of fresh bread and scented soaps and candles. They all cast weird pillars of shadow into the air like black towers, and Arthur doesn't know why, though he did dream once that each dark pillar was somehow the leg of a gargantuan goat. The subconscious mind is a funny thing. Asenath's brownstone is halfway down on the left, and it is unremarkable big. 6 steps lead up to her door, each flanked by a small potted plant. The bell looks absolutely ordinary. Arthur is sure it's not at all ordinary. Do we really have to use Asenath? Your summon is weird, Parker says casually. If we're not dealing with the best of witches, I wouldn't trust what she has to say. He has a fair point. Fair, I guess, says Arthur, and rings the bell. It bites his finger. Ow! Fuck! He says, shaking it. Fuck you, Arthur says, just as Asenath answers. She is tall, Asenath. She never really looks like she remembered to brush her chin-length black hair, or shave her dark beard, or iron her clothes. Well, she says, leaning on the door frame, one hand above her head. Her chipped nails are black today. So are her coveralls. Fancy seeing you again so soon. And she pauses. So it's finally happened. Got hungry, did he? Arthur really hates that she's taller than he is. Lots of people are taller, but Asenath makes him feel it. Asenath? Says Arthur, trying to keep it calm, trying to ignore the fact that she can clearly see Haster's been gaining body parts. We need help. So he said on the phone. Well, out with it. If I'm going to send you away with your tail between your legs. She looks him up and down, just a pinch too slowly, which is both familiar and annoying. I might as well give you the full treatment. Fuck, at least hear us out first. Thanks, says Parker, like none of that was rude, and doffs his hat. Ma'am, appreciate you seeing us. Sure. She sounds unmoved. Well, God's forbid anyone but you have important things to do, says Arthur, before he can help himself.
Ignore him. He's sore about the particulars of his contract finally playing out.
And to Arthur's absolute shock, Asenath answers. Not playing the game anymore?
It's that serious, Daughter of the Wood.
It better be. You are hardly the type of thing I welcome inside my home. Down the hall, last door on the left. I wouldn't advise lingering. I have projects on the fire. What? Says Arthur, shocked. What? Says Parker, looking lost. She's talking to my summon. Arthur is flummoxed. She's actually talking to my summon. Asenath rolls her eyes. If you're gonna panic about every little thing you don't understand, Arthur Lester. I'm not panicking, Arthur says, trying and failing to recall everything his summon has ever said in her presence. Now. Not you. It's Parker's turn to look shocked. Why not? You're neither a vehicle for a summon, nor particularly shielded against magic. If you came in, you'd hear weird scraping noises like a bow on an unstrung violin, and you'd see colors that make you go mad. Stay on the stoop, Yang. I'll bring him back out in one piece, don't you worry. Oh. Parker looks a little spooked. Sure. We'll be just a minute, Asenath says sweetly, and closes the door in his face. Better?
Yes, thank you.
Arthur Lester, I said down the hall. Her tone is warning. Arthur glares. She gestures. Arthur stalks where directed. It's a wide hallway with doors on either side. Between the doors hang numerous portraits, landscapes, Astor has told him, depicting other worlds with startling accuracy. Arthur's been curious about them before. Right now, he wishes he could set them on fire. You aren't kidding, says Asenath. He is in quite a mood, practically stalking like an angry cat.
Well, the last day has been difficult, and I have spoiled him.
Your prerogative, I suppose. Fuck you both. I'm right here, mutters Arthur. You sure are, honey, says Asenath, and opens the final door. This bedroom had been converted to a lab. The furniture is gone, replaced with a large wooden frame in the center that looks ready to hold a person, and is painted with rusty stains. Tables line the walls. On them rest apparatuses of metal and glass, bubbling things and squeaking things, a pot that seems to be singing to itself, and a small cage in which a mouse sits in the center of a web, like a spider. The mouse eyes Arthur like it's hungry. He says, ignore Gertrude. Talk. Right. So, my summon says that...
The number has nearly been reached.
78, I know, but we still haven't located the vehicle. She knew about the 9 times 9 number already, Arthur says, and is ignored.
I believe the vehicle has been found, and so does your patron. The mother decided it was time to send through some tools.
Asenath goes very still. What? She what?
I'm afraid the deliverers were killed.
So that's what happened to my sisters. Damn. I suppose our enemy got the tools too?
That's your cue, Arthur. Show her what we received.
You owe me a lot of answers, John. Arthur snaps and opens his bag. You're trying to tell me the mother would actually send... Asenath stops. Arthur is holding the large teardrop. Asenath does a thing he never would have imagined. She takes a step back. Are you fucking crazy? Put it back. Astor laughs darkly.
Do as she says, Arthur.
Arthur does, frowning. Why are you afraid of that? Shit. You should not have been fine holding that, says Asenath, and her eyes narrow. And then she leans in. Arthur leans back. Oh. Oh dear.
Which?
Astor warns. This isn't personal, Arthur Lester, says Asenath quite sadly, as if with regret. And it feels, for all the world, like a boot kicks him right in the brain. When he comes to, several things are happening all at once, and they all suck. One, he's on his back, and his left hand is around Asenath's throat. 2, Asenath is on top of him, and her fingers are pointed right at his eyes so close he can't even focus on the tips. 3, Astor is growling away in some language Arthur has never heard in his life, but sounds like someone dumped an alphabet in the street and then ran it over. 4, Asenath is very erect and pressing into his thigh. Something is stopping Asenath from stabbing his eyes, and it isn't a physical something. It's the magic Astor is casting through him right now. His right hand hurts, his fingers. He runs his thumb along them and discovers 3 of his new rings have busted. But that makes no sense. They're not attuned to him. They can't protect him. They shouldn't have reacted at all to whatever Astor just did, and... She's pushing. Her fingers are closer to his eyes. Well, Arthur knows what to do here. He tightens his core, does an expert twist and heave, and hurls her over his head with gusto.
Yes, Arthur!
No time for praise. Arthur spins, pushing through dizziness, and pulls out his gun. What the fuck was that about? His gun hand shakes. His everything shakes. Whatever Astor did drained him, and his breaths are ragged. Asenath lies there where he threw her, panting and glaring daggers. What the fuck, Asenath? Arthur says again. She sighs, sits up, and demurely adjusts the crotch of her coveralls. First of all, I apologize for that. Bodies react to power in weird ways. Go to hell! Second of all, congratulations. You've damned us all. What? How?
No?
Says Hasta with the kind of strained patience that comes from repeated argument.
I can handle this.
By hand delivering the vehicle. I knew you were arrogant, but this goes beyond the pale, Haster. She knows your name, Arthur blurts, and is ignored.
No!
Haster's growl is terrible, a deep and painful rumble.
Arthur isn't the vehicle. He's mine.
He's housing you. He's just handled a glass from laying without ill effect. And you think he's not the one they're after? Okay, so here's what's gonna happen, interrupts Arthur, who is beyond done, whose fingers hurt and sport new red lines where the protective rings exploded, who is afraid and confused and angry and absolutely does not like being pushed around. Either you two chucklefucks tell me what's going on, or I come to the conclusion that you're full of shit. The supposed world-ending issue doesn't exist, and I walk out the door to go play police hostage for the rest of the day. Got it? Asenath snorts. Haster sighs.
Arthur...
Do you have any control over him at all? Asenath says dryly.
What I have is an understanding.
What you have is the perfect vehicle for invasion, and you're apparently determined to deliver him in gift wrap and a box. Arthur doesn't bluff. Right, we're done. He heads for the door. Asenath holds up her hand. Peace, Arthur Lester. I'll answer you. If for no other reason than the off chance you'll be smarter about this than Haster. Arthur frowns. How do you know my summon's name, first off? Oh, honey. I know a lot more than that. Asenath stands, clearly unconcerned about his gun or his opinion. Good throw, by the way. If we all survive this, I might hire you to teach me how to do that. He scoffs. Like you'd ever need to physically fight. You'd be surprised, Arthur Lester. Also, it might be fun. She cocks her hip, planting her hand on her waist, and she taps her fingers in a pointed way even he can't miss. He stares. Either he's seeing things, or Asenath Waite, premier witch of Cloud City, is flirting with him after trying to kill him. He says after a moment. How about we delay talk of hiring and wrestling until I trust you not to kill me again, which is probably never? Oh, relax. I won't try again. I had one chance to pull it off, but I've lost the element of surprise. He'd stop me. He'd stop you. Arthur swallows. Hasta could genuinely hold his ground against you. That wasn't a fluke. In your body, honey? Yes, he could. Arthur stares again. But my body isn't... I can barely do minor magics, even with his help. Except for the police station, which he isn't ready to think about. And whatever just happened, which he also isn't ready to think about. Why would you want me dead? Because you'll likely be used as a vehicle for a great old one sometime in the next month, she says. Which is a pity, because I've always liked you. Arthur made a face at her. Like hell you have. She rolls her eyes dramatically. Dense!
I told you.
Arthur was still trying to figure out what she'd said he'd be used for. A great one. Vehicle? Explain.
Arthur...
Asenath leans against the wall, arms crossed. Has he told you anything? I assumed he had. You're so cocky, it just sort of made sense you were walking around with privileged information. Made me just wanna... She makes a sort of pinching motion he's not sure he wants to interpret. Has everybody gone crazy today? He mutters. Asenath sighs dramatically. Really, Haster? You left this up to me to explain?
I enjoy his happiness. None of this will make him happy.
What? Says Arthur. She stares. You're an ass, Haster. Arthur rubs the bridge of his nose. Okay, this is a lot. Let's try explaining things like you would to a normal person. Honey, you are far from normal, she says, and walks to the other side of the room, where a green chalkboard hangs on the wall. You're a perfect vehicle. Or did you think just anyone could take Haster inside and not blow the hell up? What? He's a summon! People make contracts all the damn time! You're not making any sense. Right, well, I am about to give you a lesson in how the world actually works, Arthur Lester. Am I allowed to handle chalk, or is that too scary for you? Arthur's gun hand is steady again. Pretty sure I can shoot you before whatever you start finishes working. So sure, knock yourself out. Asenath rolls her eyes, but picks up the chalk. We'll start with the basics. This is our universe. She draws a circle. Doesn't look very big, says Arthur. She eyes him. Is he always just gumming on the point before spitting it out again, or... Haster chuckles.
Give him time. When his wits are about him, he cannot be matched.
Arthur definitely does not feel like he's matching anything right now. Thanks, I guess. She draws a long, wide rectangle at the bottom of the board. Here we have the Dark World. That's where you go when you die, sweetie. What, really? He blurts. Where did you think you went? Hell? He suggests. She tilts her head. What, not heaven? Sure, if I ever meet anyone who deserves to go there.
Not even your daughter.
And if he had not said that with such sweet curiosity, if he had not wondered it in the way he wondered about all the things in Arthur's world when they first joined, innocence and deep bass, Arthur would have lost it. But Haster wasn't trying to hurt him with this. It was a real question. Non-aggressive. Arthur takes a breath before answering. I kind of hoped she was reborn. Got a better chance. A second chance. With a better set of parents. Asenath looks stricken. Honey.
Go on, witch.
She hesitates. Go on, Arthur confirms in a voice like broken glass. I'm fine. She exhales. As you wish, Arthur Lester. Here. Her next shape begins at the bottom of the universe circle. A huge, wide ellipse on its narrow end, curving up to the top of the board and sealing the universe off. This is the Dreamlands. The what? Everything in reality that's still connected to your universe, but outside it. Other worlds, other timelines, that sort of thing. Arthur's eyes are wide. Why is it called the Dreamlands? It literally is formed from the dreams of living things, especially humans. She scribbles on both sides of the Dreamlands. Jagged lines, sharp and violent. And these places are outer darkness. These aren't reality. They are closer to the dreaming one who must not be named, to the places that are not. The beings that exist there, using exist loosely, mind, can't come into our universe, though they sure as fuck want to. Arthur is silent for a moment. The gods who saved us from the fire of why? Yes, gods, and things that are more than gods. More than gods. Much more. Gods are minor league, Arthur Lester. Arthur needs to sit down. He needs to sit down very badly, but he doesn't want to seem weak. They came here before. Why do they want to come here, and why can't they again? Good questions. As for why they want to, well, we're just fascinating. There's nothing like us out there, in the Dreamlands or anywhere else. They love nothing more than to play with human lives. Give us power, and see what happens. Or siphon off our dreams and memories and experiences to spice up their own. They'll even take us whole if they can get us into the Dreamlands alive. Feeling like prey isn't new, but it is terrible. And how does all of this apply to our situation? Well, you have a contract that ties directly to here. She indicates the Dreamlands. The outer gods and great old ones, the beings in outer darkness, can't come here for one simple reason. They're too big. They'd destroy it just by stepping into the place. Think Fat Man Silk Stocking. Shreds everywhere. Irreparable. But they got here before. Once. Reality can't handle it more than once. They can, however, get to the Dreamlands. That's plenty big enough. And from there, servants of theirs can come to our world through contracts. Summons. Spirits. That's not really the best term, but sure. Spirits. Arthur shakes his head. But I don't understand it. What happened with the reclamation? The fire of why? Because they came and saved us, didn't they? Oh hell, we're getting into the deep stuff now, says Asenath. Okay. She fiddles with the chalk. So, the whole situation that I've described to you here is how it's always been, with one major exception. There were no contracts. A few of us were able to channel those beings who are gods and greater than gods, finding powers in a world without them. But basically, humans ruled the roost. He feels like he's not understanding words again. Humans did. They did it with technology, says Asenath. The same kind of shit that built your buddy's car out there. They even had machines that could fly. Get the fuck out. They did, Arthur Lester. I was in some of them. Those were the days. Ain't nobody heading to Milan now for polenta and a lovely glass of Brunello de Monticino, I'll tell you that. He stares at her. Asenath clears her throat. The problem is that humans are bad at running the world. They nearly blew it up. Blew it up! They had a war. Every major country involved. Nearly 40 million people dead. Arthur makes a choked sound. Bullshit! There aren't that many people in the whole world. Not now, there aren't. The Second World War took care of that. Hold on, honey. She conjures a chair from nowhere, like she pulled it out of the air, and then reaches around him to put it behind him. He sits in it without protest, gun pointing at the floor. Hester?
She is telling the truth, complete and unvarnished.
Arthur keeps swallowing. A war that big happened twice? The second time was just about curtains for everybody. Asenath conjures a second chair and sits across from him, so close that his right knee goes between hers, and she closes her legs on him as if to keep him from falling over. It's grounding. He's grateful. What happened? They invented a kind of bomb. It went under the code name Project Y. He startles. The fire of Y? That would have already been bad enough on its own. But then someone got involved. An outer god. He swallows audibly. For what purpose? Boredom? Who the fuck knows? I'm sure as hell not gonna ask him. But he taught them how to make it worse. It was citywide destruction when humans made it. Then he taught them, and they found a way to unmake the world. Before they used that special bomb, the casualties were already around 75 million. You can't expect me to believe after they used it, enhanced by that outer god, the death toll climbed to over 2 billion. Arthur feels like he might have just left his skin behind on the floor. That many people even existed at one time, and they died at one time? 2 billion? Didn't you ever wonder about the tunnels? Where people lived before the reclamation? They were trying to survive Project Y. But that doesn't... It poisoned the air and the sky. It ruined the soil, so even anything that grew was slowly killing you to eat it. Everyone was dying. Even us. Even we who had been faithful. If it had been allowed to play out on its own, there would be no one left. Us. We. You're saying you... We cried to the Mother Goddess. What else could we do? Asenath shrugs like it's nothing. Like she's not casually admitting to the rumors of being older than dirt. Of being older than reclamation, and contracts, and esoteric interference. She answered, though the cost was pretty high. Hester?
She tells the truth, whole and unvarnished.
Okay, says Arthur, who is not okay, in a very tiny voice. Okay. A lot of us had to sacrifice ourselves. I volunteered, but was refused. The Mother Goddess chose who would go and who would stay. Go? go to the dark world. Go to the wood. To her. It's complicated, and I don't want to get into it. I was one of the ones chosen to stay and keep watching to ensure that fucked up mess never happens again. The old ones and outer gods like humans, Arthur Lester. They don't want us wiped out. And we came perilously close to that by our own hand, with only a little bit of help. Even Project Y was telling. That outer god may have taught us how to enhance it, but we were the ones who pushed the button. And then maybe Asnath can tell that Arthur is at his limit, because she falls silent, lets him think. He's processing. Trying. He has questions. He wants those questions to matter. Okay, he finally says. Assuming you're telling the truth, which I am, assuming that, first, you said that if those outer gods come here, they'll destroy the world, just because they're basically too much for it. So why is one trying to come through? The corners of her lips squirk. I didn't tell you one was. You might as well have. Between what you said and what Hasta said, not to mention you said I'm a vehicle for this thing, somehow, you still need to explain that. Well, fuck me sideways and call me Shirley. There's that smart guy I've run into over the last few years.
I told you.
Quit it, says Arthur, cheeks a little red. Well, first, it's a great old one trying to come through, not an outer god. What's the difference? Power and self-regulation. The outer gods are so much larger than we can even conceive, Arthur Lester. We're practically microscopic to them, and we wouldn't be able to do a damned thing to stop one coming through. The one who fucked up with Project Y couldn't come here either. He had to do all of it through dreams, sending messages. He just wanted to see what would happen. On the other hand, great old ones are just small enough to enjoy playing with us like finger puppets. And the great old one trying to come through now doesn't actually care if they destroy everything anyway. How do you know? Because they wouldn't be trying. Great old ones don't have the power to make themselves small enough to walk our world. Them coming through would automatically mean curtains. And they're a god. You know, like Cthulhu or Gizgoth or the King in Yellow. The King in Yellow, Arthur blits. He's one of those things? Is he the one that's trying to come through? She gives him an odd look. What? Her expression is keen, peering, almost as if she's trying to see what he's thinking.
Stay on topic, witch.
Sure. On topic. So, it is the King in Yellow? No, she finally says. The threat we're discussing is not him. He wants to preserve humans. Notoriously, some might say. He wouldn't be trying to do this. How can you be sure? There have been incidents, weird things, people going crazy, chanting his name. That just means someone channeled his power, Arthur Lester. Like I channel the Great Mothers. His power drives people mad just by proximity. But I promise you, he's not trying to come through. If he's channeling power here, then he's trying to find a way to stop the ones who's coming through. Arthur has a sudden guess. Does he have servants? Yes. She's watching him keenly again. Is Hasta one of his? Her face goes through a series of twitches. You could say that. So Hasta's really trying to save the world. No hesitation this time. Yes.
I told you.
Tells me why you were so ready to suck him off, too. Arthur shoots back. Asenath chokes, coughs, smacks herself on the chest. Arthur Lester, you are going to be the death of me. Arthur rolled his eyes. So, which god is it then? Don't know. And that's why we haven't been able to stop them. All we do know is they're gathering power through those connected murders. And looking for a vehicle. Someone who can actually handle the indwelling of a great old one without immediately exploding. You're the first I've met in over 400 years who could do that, Arthur Lester. He stares again. That can't be right. It is. I'm not even that magical. It has nothing to do with magic. It's something about your soul, your essence, who you are. How can you tell? Just because I handled a piece of glass? A piece of glass which should have immediately overwhelmed your mind, showing you all of reality at once, and snapped you like a twig. Arthur's eyes are huge. Asta, you didn't warn me!
I knew you could do it.
Fucking hell! And you think... Wait. This is such a risk because they don't need a contract to make a vehicle, do they? They can force this on somebody. Her eyes lit. Keep being smart like that, and I'm gonna make you late to your little police date. Arthur needs a moment. Asenath had made comments exactly like this one many times over the past 5 years, too. But Arthur had always interpreted them as some form of threat. It wasn't a threat. Though, why she would be at all interested. Fuck is going on? He mutters, rubbing his face. Never mind. Answer the damn question. No, they don't need a contract. That's why they're gathering power. It will get around the protections the gods themselves put in place to keep this very thing from happening, which involve contracts. If they did this to you, Arthur Lester, you wouldn't be a contractor with choice and voice and body. You'd be a bag, a sack. That god will fill you. Just fill you up, more and more, pouring themselves into your being until you are gone, and only they remain. He tastes bile. Fuck. Why? Why would this god do this if it's curtains? Selfishness. Whoever this is doesn't care that nobody else would ever get to play with humans again. They just want to do what they want. Fuck. I do really think I'm a key to this.
It's not you. You're contracted. They can't use you.
They might. They're playing with more power than I have right now. More? More than you? With the sacrifices they've done? With the theft of power from all these connected murders? Yeah, even I couldn't do much to stop it. Then what do we do? Find the primary priest? Kill the primary priest. The power collected is tied to them. Kill them, and it dissipates. How do I find the primary priest? That's the question, isn't it? She says, leaning back in her chair. We don't even know which god it is yet, and so can't find the priest because we don't know what to look for. Can't cast a broad net, huh? Been doing that. It hasn't worked. Arthur reaches into his bag and pulls up the dagger. I don't suppose this is useful. Fuck, says Asenath, leaning back so sharply her chair creaks. Okay, that is scary. Put that the fuck away. He does. So, it's special. Yeah. That'll cut soul and body. You'll sever their connection to their god. That thing shouldn't be in this dimension at all. The mother must have faith in you, Arthur Lester. He stares. In me? She must. I don't know her. She knows you. She knows us all. Right. That's nice, but it isn't relevant. Hassa, you said you had a way to find our enemy. Remember? And that's why we're here.
Yes, I've been gathering clues, Arthur, and we are going to use your idiot police friend out there to make this happen. There are several murder scenes you were not called in to see. We need to see them. I caught an edge of etheric resonance in yesterday's murder. If I can find more, I'll be able to piece together something identifiable. Either the priest or, at the very least, the god involved.
Do you know which murder scenes?
No, but Asenath does.
Spoil sport? I was going to do a big reveal. She leans away from her seat and pulls a sheet of paper out from under Gertrude's cage, then hands it over. 6 addresses. He could work with this. Concrete steps. Why these 6? Because the victims are connected. That's how the power of these murders can be smushed together. The victims are related, or in love, or dire hate. Something entangling. Arthur licked his lips. Asenath, he says, what you just told me about gods, the dark world, all of it. Why is it a secret? Who says it's a secret? She bats her eyelashes. He just glares at her. Her smile is tired. The gods don't want it known. Why? What would you have done with your life if you'd known it? That's not what he'd expected. I don't know. I don't really like the idea of being preyed on in this way. Hey, what does harvesting even mean, given all this? Everything you are, memories, emotions, all of it. gets reduced to its essence and fed to your summon. You're going to be poured out in the dreamlands like holy wine. Sorry. Is that better or worse than just being eaten? He doesn't know. I still would have done it for what I've been promised. Then I guess you're on the right path. Arthur thinks he can stand. He's not sure he wants to. He feels like he'd be walking back out a completely different person. So, we really came here to tell me what was going on, is what it is.
I knew you wouldn't believe me.
No, I wouldn't have. Sorry. Arthur leans on his thighs and exhales again. So, we go to the murder scenes, gather clues, somehow weave a resonance, and then we go on a manhunt for whoever this priest is. I'll help you find them. Once you have that resonance, bring it to me. Be careful. We're all pretty sure the police have been compromised. Fight servants of a god determined to destroy everything. Whoever they are, they think they're going to be rewarded. And yes, the police have kept us at arm's length lately for too many murders. Someone is on the inside. Don't let on what you know to anyone.
Not even the idiot on the stoop. Even if he's innocent, which I personally doubt, he could blab to the wrong person.
Arthur decides to get some of his own back. Hasta's jealous of Yang. You know, I'm picking that up, she says, deadpan. Any given reason? He sucked my dick. This time, it's Hasta who's making choked noises, like words have failed him.
Oh,
Asenath laughs, shakes her head. Okay, that's funny. And her smile turns crooked. We could make him jealous again. Arthur realizes her legs are still pinning his knees. Are you really hitting on me? I'm apologizing to you. By hitting on me. She shrugs. Her 5 o'clock shadow seems darker in this bedroom, but it just serves to bring out the playfulness in her eyes, the redness of her lips. I've hit on you for years, but it only led to arguments. I sort of figured you weren't into dicks. Turns out you are. You're just dumb. Arthur laughs this time. He doesn't move his leg. I won't argue about being dumb. I thought you hated me. She shakes her head. I'd have fucking cursed you if I did. Nice. Honest. You're all ancient and whatever, and you still couldn't figure out how to flirt with me. Arthur Lester, you were broken when we met. After your loss, and you got your summon, you took jobs for the police hoping someone would shoot you in the head. What I was trying to do was make you mad so you'd feel alive. It had done that. He stares at her. Then I realized I liked doing that and kept it up. Maybe it helped? It did. But This was unfair. 5 years of absolute isolation apart from Hasta, and suddenly, this. What's gotten into everybody? Shit timing, Asenath. Maybe. I'm dying. Everybody is. He stares. She's not grabbing at him. It's nice, actually. She's not pushing. Parker pushed. Arthur decides not to think about it. He likes that she isn't pushing. If we survive, I don't know. Let's talk. Maybe I'm curious what hundreds of years of experience could be like. Maybe I just want to sit and have some tea with you. And let the guy who thought I hated him get to know me when I'm not poking him with a pencil. Really not pushing. And he really likes that. Maybe. She holds his gaze for just a moment longer. And then finally stands. Find the resonance. I'll use it to create a tracker. He stands too, and tries not to think about Parker. Parker pushes. Don't think about it. Parker doesn't seem to take hints that could be no. Don't think about it. It's not a problem. It's fine. It's not worth thinking about right now. Sure. Don't eat him too fast, Haster.
I'm afraid I no longer have control over that. I'm leaking through.
She looks sad. Well, best of luck then. Find them. Stab them. I can manage that, says Arthur, and heads down the hall.